Welcome explorers and seekers of the past. Imagine an empire spanning from the Mediterranean to the Pacific. An empire that shook the world and changed the course of history. In this video, we'll be discussing the emergence, evolution, and ultimately the demise of the mighty Mongol Empire. Something that is sure to pique the interest of anyone looking to learn a bit more about history. Let's step back in time to the 13th century. And witness the rise of one of the most powerful empires in history, the Mongol Empire. Led by the legendary Genghis Khan, the Mongols swept across Asia and Europe, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. But how did they become so powerful? How did they conquer such a vast territory? And why did the empire eventually collapse? Join us as we uncover the fascinating story of the rise and fall of the Mongol Empire and explore the answers to these questions and more. Let's get into it. The rise of the Mongols. The Mongol Empire, which was created on the broad plains and stretched from Siberia to southern China and from Korea to Ukraine, was the biggest contiguous land empire in history. There were sporadic bands of Mongol and Turkic pastoral nomads commanded by Khans living on the East Asian steppe in the 12th century CE, before the Mongol Empire was established. The populace managed camels, yaks, sheep, and other cattle. They transitioned between seasonal campsites while residing in felt tents. The majority of the flocks, trade, and migrations were managed by nomadic women. In the meanwhile, men focused on mounted combat. These nomadic tribes frequently engaged in conflict. Temujin, a member of an aristocratic Mongol family, was to change that. Who was Genghis Khan? Genghis Khan was born as Temujin in 1162, close to Lake Baikal on the modern border between Mongolia and Siberia. When Temujin was a small boy, his royal Borjigin clan member father was killed in a local blood war, forcing Temujin to grow up as an outcast. Temujin conquered all the clans in the area between 1195 and 1205, routing his adversaries in a string of military triumphs. Temujin rapidly earned a reputation for giving his soldiers' families the benefits of victory rather than simply the nobility. Although the noble minority disapproved, Temujin received widespread support and saw his army expand. Descendants. Khan, also referred to as the Super Father, is believed to have fathered numerous kids with various women. Khan is believed to have fathered hundreds of children. With his first wife Borta, he had at least 4 acknowledged boys and 5 acknowledged daughters. The Mongol warrior is believed to have had 500 secondary brides. A 2003 study found that 8% of men across 16 Asian ethnic populations shared the same Y chromosome pattern that is traced back to a shared origin from around 1,000 years ago, believed to be Genghis Khan himself. This results in an estimate of nearly 16 million living descendants. However, it should be noted that the exact number of children produced by the Mongol warrior is not known for certain. Emperor. Temujin was made emperor of the Great Mongol State in 1206, taking the title Genghis Khan, which roughly translates to the universal leader. The army was reorganized by Genghis into highly organized formations, and he also passed regulations that prohibited the sale of women, thievery, and hunting during the animal breeding season. He also freed the poor from paying taxes and promoted literacy and trade. This was the beginning of the Mongol Empire. Temujin, in contrast to those Khans, promoted warriors based on merit and evenly dispersed loot among them. The Mongols were shamans who thought their ancestors and the spirits of nature lived in the world. Genghis ruled over an area of the Eurasian steppe, the belt of land that connected Europe to Central, East, and South Asia. The Silk Road, which permitted the transport of products over great distances, was created on the steppe. In addition to promoting trade, Genghis saw that there were people and lands in the vicinity that were just waiting to be conquered. He scoured the area for potential targets while backed by an effective, devoted army. Make sure to subscribe to History Flicks and dig up that bell icon so you won't miss any of our historical updates. Expanding the empire. Western Xia, a region of what is now China, was to the southeast of the Mongol territories. Genghis had conducted a raid in the region in 1205, returned in 1207, and began an invasion on a large scale that was finished in 1211. This increased the Mongol Empire's revenue by giving them control over a section of the Silk Roads and a vassal state that paid tribute. From here, the Mongol tribes turned their gaze eastward, toward the more potent Jin Dynasty's territory, which had ruled over northern China and the Mongol tribes for generations. After initially fortifying their position behind the Great Wall, Jin forces were betrayed by one of their own, and at the Battle of Yahuling, the Mongols were said to have killed hundreds of thousands of people. Genghis now proceeded to the Zhongdu, or present-day Beijing, the capital of the Jin. When this fell, it drove the Jin kings south, where they would later be conquered by Genghis Khan, Genghis's third son and heir. The Muslim Khwarezmiya lands, which bordered the Caspian Sea in the west, the Persian Gulf, and the Arabian Sea in the south, came into direct contact with Genghis's territory, after his soldiers also conquered the Kara-Khitai areas to the west. Genghis initially seems to have had no plans to conquer these territories. To start trade, he dispatched an embassy with gold, silver, pelts, and textiles. However, when it arrived in Otrar, the caravan was attacked. Genghis then dispatched 2 Mongol and 1 Muslim diplomat to the Shah. The Muslim ambassador's head was sent back to Genghis by the Shah, who also had all 3 men shaved. Genghis was so enraged that he organized his biggest invasion to date and led about 100,000 soldiers over to the Tian Shan Mountains. Despite the deployment of the elephants to guard the city, the renowned, ancient, and intellectual city of Samarkand in what is now Uzbekistan was destroyed. 3 of the biggest cities in the world, Herat, Nishapur, and Merv, were also destroyed. The Mongols, who were accustomed to battling on horses across broad plains, had to modify their manner of combat to deal with cities and besieges, yet they continued to project an air of invincibility. This leads us to the question of what happened after Genghis Khan died. The exact cause of his death is unknown. Some say he died in a battle against the Chinese kingdom Shisha. Others say he fell off his horse during a hunt. After the death of Genghis Khan left for China again, but he passed away on August 25, 1227, in western Sha, Xingqing. He had a falling out with his second son, and his oldest son had passed away the year before. Thus, the third son of Genghis became known as Ögedei Khan. Tolui, the fourth son, got the Mongol homelands and an army of about 100,000 soldiers. According to custom, the youngest son should inherit his father's possessions. Ögedei Khan carried on his father's ambitious expansionist strategy. The Mongols were known for their harsh strategies. Target cities were given a clear option: submit and pay tribute in exchange for peace, or resist and risk being completely decimated. Georgia and Armenia were taken over around 1230. The Mongols invaded Kashmir to the south and laid siege to Lahore in 1241 after entering the Indus Valley. Yet they were unable to completely conquer the area. A second Mongol force directed its vicious aim on Europe in the west along the steppes. They seized control of Volga, Bulgaria, briefly controlled Hungary, and advanced as far north as Kiev and the Russes' homeland, where tribute was paid. Genghis granted his warriors permission to go toward the Atlantic, the Great Sea. The Byzantine Empire, Poland, Croatia, Serbia, and Austria were all assaulted by Mongol forces. But Genghis unexpectedly passed away in 1241. To oversee the selection of a successor, Mongol leaders went back to their native country. However, it took 5 years to settle the issue, and much to the relief of Western Europe, they never came back. One of Genghis Khan's grandchildren, Mongol Khan, came to power after the fighting was over, and he resurrected raids in southern China and the Middle East. Baghdad, the capital of the formidable Abbasid Caliphate, was brutally attacked and looted in 1258. The Mongol line of sight now included Syria. Following the catastrophic fall of Baghdad, the Seljuk Turks, Armenians, and the Christian Crusader states of Antioch and Tripoli all submitted to the Mongols. The Mongol Empire was at its height when Mongol Khan passed away in 1259. It stretched from Eastern Europe to the Sea of Japan, and from the cold of what is now Russia in the north to the heat of India's borders in the south. The Mongol Empire's collapse. Kublai Khan, Mongol's brother, succeeded him. The Mongol Empire completed the unification of China over the course of the following 2 decades and relocated its capital from Karakorum in Mongolia to what is now Beijing. The Chinese Yuan dynasty is recognized as having its beginnings with Kublai Khan, but the Mongols became victims of their success after 2 disastrous invasions of Japan and a vast kingdom that was getting harder to control. The empire was divided into 4 more compact khanates after Kublai Khan's death in 1294. The massive Mongol dominion, which was gradually pushed back from the Middle East, could not be maintained by a single ruler. And there you have it, the story of the rise and fall of the Mongol Empire, from the humble beginnings of Genghis Khan to the vast empire that shook the world. The Mongols left an indelible mark on history. Their empire, spanning from Eastern Europe to East Asia, stood as a testament to the power of unity, military prowess, and efficient communication. But as with all empires, it fell. Internal conflicts, economic troubles, and invasions by outside powers ultimately led to its downfall. We hope you enjoyed learning about this fascinating period of history and the incredible story of the Mongol Empire. If you like this, you might like our other video about a great empire, the Roman Empire.